I've been making music my whole life. I just never released any of them. I don't know. I didn't have like the confidence to, and I just didn't know how to do it. And
Mhm.
no one was helping me. No one at all. I was just, I loved the creative process of writing a song, but I didn't know how to go about actually putting it out into the world.
Sweet. Well, I'm Adam. I'm very nice to meet you. Thank you so much again for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Actually, I got hip to your music when I had Sophie Simmons on the show. And
Oh
then
my
that's how I
God.
found about, yeah, Fuck Up the Friendship. You had just put that record out. And then I went through and listened to all your back catalog. So that was like 2, 3 years ago, maybe now? Over three
Oh
years
my
ago?
God. I love Sophie. She's one of my like first collaborators ever.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I interviewed her and she was telling me about that song because it just came out. And then you were the voice on the record. So I went and checked out all your other songs. And I was like, damn, she's really good. And it was cool to like kind of watch your, I mean, now you blew up. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Been a
Yeah.
crazy couple years.
Yeah. So this is about you and your journey in music. So you're born and raised in LA. Is that what I read?
Yes, born and raised in LA. I lived in New York for a little bit. I just really needed to leave Los Angeles a few years ago. And my parents were like, okay, if you want to move to New York, do it. We're not going to help you though. So I took a leap of faith and just like moved to New York, and I got this like job to just help pay my rent there. Because you can't really live in New York as like an aspiring artist who's
Yeah.
struggling.
It's hard in
And
LA too, I'd imagine.
oh yeah, it's hard in LA. New York is even harder. And yeah, I got this job, moved to New York. I ended up getting fired, but yeah, I lived in LA pretty much my whole life except for that little quick New York moment I had. And yeah.
That's awesome. And I saw that I did radio for like 15 years. So I saw that your family has some radio stations. So that was really intriguing to me.
Oh yeah, my dad and family, they all work in radio. So that definitely yeah, not really like music. I mean, they have music stations, but yeah, they work in radio. They
A lot of
never put me
AM,
on.
right?
Yeah, and FM, and there is a lot of music stations. They just don't like to, they don't play my music on the radio. So I never, I was always like, had to prove myself on my own. And my dad would never just be like, play my daughter's song. That was never the case. Even when like I had a song on every pop station in America, I think I just still wasn't on my family station. So
Really?
all grown up in a radio family, but they never put me on the radio. So I was like, all right, well, this sucks for me, but it's on the radio now. So
Right, right. Yeah, 100%. I remember hearing you like on Sirius. You did like a thing where you were playing records, but then talking about your songs and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's when I was like, wow, this song has gone to like kind of the next level with 10 Things I Hate About You. I was like, damn, like she's doing like a whole hour segment on Sirius on Hits
oh
One, I think it was. Yeah.
yeah, it definitely took off. It was really crazy. It it was wild. I've never had that happen. And so that was a very exciting time having your first song kind of take off. It was I was kind of it's kind of like a blur thinking about it now. I
Yeah.
was so just like crazy at the time that I couldn't even be in the moment. But it was all very exciting. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, how
mhm.
did you get into music? Do you come like obviously radio is a big thing in your family, but like what about music? Were you singing at an early age or how'd you get started?
Yeah, I always loved to sing, and I would like just have my older brother shoot music videos for me when I was like super young, and I would just like lip sync my favorite songs. And I loved singing. I started taking, it was always very therapeutical for me. I would take voice lessons starting like maybe like when I was 5. I started taking voice lessons, and I would reach out to producers to try and like collaborate when I was
At
really young.
5?
No, not probably at like 12 is when I started being like, who is
Whoa.
Katy Perry's producer? And like I started hitting up everyone. 12, 13. I was like really ambitious. And yeah, no, my brother played a bunch of instruments and produced. So we would just make songs together in his room growing up. And that's how it started. And then finally it started there. And yeah, I always wanted to pursue a music career. I just didn't know how, because like pre-TikTok you needed like a label and
Oh, right.
connections, and like
Mhm.
although my dad worked in radio, like he wasn't really in like the music industry. So I had no idea how to even put out a song. I didn't even know how to put a song on Spotify, but I had like all these demos, and like I just knew that I would like get there at one point. I just wasn't ready yet, and I wanted the
Mhm.
music to be perfect. So yeah, I moved to New York, and I was like, I'm finally gonna just like move there and start putting out my songs. And like I just like worked in the studio like alone in Brooklyn, and my brother would like come down from college and like produce. And it was just kind of, yeah. And then the pandemic happened, and I started putting out my songs. And that summer I was just like at home, couldn't do anything, and I spent all summer on TikTok just trying to like blow up a song. I was like, okay, I feel like I can do this, like, and then fuck up the friendship. That song kind of went viral, and that was cool. And then I partnered with my investor, Alexis Ohanian at the time, who, you know, founded Reddit, and he gave me all this marketing money and, you know, money to like make an album. And I was like, I got the Madison Beer Tour. I need money to like go tour and do all these things. And then like another song popped off, this one called Fuck You Anthem. That one like blew
Yeah.
TikTok. And then I was like, okay, Alexis, like I need like this amount of funding. I have this album, like I'm gonna blow up a song, and like I'll make you your money back. Just like please believe in me. So we partnered for another album, and then 10 Things I Hate About You is like the first single off of that. So that went crazy, and it just kind of like took off from there, and was a wild journey.
Wow. So prior to moving to New York, you had songs, but you just weren't putting them out. You just
Oh
had
yeah,
a bunch of demos and
I've been making music my whole life. I just never released any of them. I don't know. I didn't have like the confidence to, and I just didn't know how to do it. And
Mhm.
no one was helping me. No one at all. I was just, you know, I loved the creative process of writing a song, but I didn't know how to go about actually putting it out into the world. And I knew deep in my heart I would figure it out. That's why I wasn't like, you know, going crazy. I knew I'd get there, and I did eventually. It just took a little longer than usual. But yeah, it took a long time, but I guess thanks. I'm glad I didn't put out my songs when I was like 15. Honestly, they weren't very good, so it's good that I waited.
do
Mhm.
you like the first, do you remember what kind of gave you the confidence to be like, okay, I think this song is good enough. Let's try this. Because I'm sure I mean, you obviously had songs out before you put out Fuck Up the Friendship. So like the first
Yeah.
one, was that like, okay, this one's ready to go. We're gonna do this. Was that a
Yeah.
pretty exciting moment?
Yeah, I was just kind of like, why aren't I doing what I love? I got this job, and I was like, this is so miserable. Like, I love music. I want to be doing what I love. And I was just so unhappy. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start putting music out, and like I'm gonna see what happens. Hopefully I can turn it into something. And even in the early days, I definitely had some like cool small wins at the time. Like I got some syncs on TV shows, and, you know, like New Music Friday, and like things at the time that felt really big. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm like onto something here. And I just kept writing and kept trying. And I was like, I'm just never gonna give up until like I get where I want. And um yeah, I've my whole life I've never taken no for an answer. I feel like that's something I don't like to take the easy way out, or like no isn't like an answer for me. And so I was like, I'm gonna get to where I literally started from scratch. Like when I say I didn't have like one connection in the music industry, like I didn't know anyone. I was just like fully solo, putting my music up on DistroKid, and
Uh-huh.
nobody giving a fuck. So I was just like, I'm gonna do this. And I just was really motivated, and like worked really hard, and I still do work that hard, and I still have miles to go. But I'm definitely proud of like where I've gotten thus far. And yeah, still have a long way to go. But yeah, I was just kind of like, I'm gonna do this, and no one's gonna stop me.
Yeah, I mean, you're killing it. And like I said, it was wild to see in January 2021, or maybe it was 2020. I don't even know if the pandemic had it. Maybe it had. I can't remember, but basically it was like, oh wow, this song's really cool. This girl's voice is awesome. I'm gonna go listen to other stuff. And then it was like within a year, you had probably the biggest song on the radio. I was like, damn, like
Oh
that was
my
so
God.
rad to watch.
That was crazy. It was wild. I mean, it was crazy going through it. I kind of had a feeling that 10 Things was gonna be like my first hit when I wrote it. I don't know. I like went home that night and was like, Dad, this is a hit. Like, I'm telling you, this is the one. And like we all listened and he was like, you're fully right. And I sent it to my friend and he was like, this is literally like a #1 song. And I was like, oh my God. And yeah, I just like teased it on TikTok and it just like went insane. And a lot of people thought, you know, okay, it's probably just a TikTok song. Like she's like counting. It's like whatever. This is a TikTok song. It probably, you know, there are professionals in the music industry who worked at labels who are like, this song will not go past TikTok. And yeah, it did. And it's
Right.
like platinum now. So yeah.
That's awesome. I was curious with so you said "Fuck Up the Friendship" was the first one that did like big things on TikTok. Like prior to that, were you just putting it out a lot? Like how did you kind of see it happen and like having that first moment being like, "What? I knew it. Like this is finally happening."
Yeah, with Fuck Up the Friendship, yeah, I would just put my songs out before. I had never like worked a song on TikTok until Fuck Up the Friendship because I didn't even know that TikTok existed. So around the time that I've discovered TikTok was when I was releasing Fuck Up the Friendship. And I just like was like, I'm going to blow this up. I don't care what anyone says. And I just reached out to millions of creators being like, hey, will you use my sound? And like spent all day
Oh,
just
smart.
messaging people. And it really just like I got this one guy to use the sound and his video got like so many millions of views. And then the sound took off. And I was like, oh my God. And that blew up. I mean, it went from like 100 streams a day to like 200,000 streams a day. So that was like super cool for just like an indie artist that nobody knew. I was like, whoa. And then, you know, FU Anthem got 1 million videos on TikTok, which was crazy. Then 10 Things had like 2 million. So it just kind of
Kept
now I
going. Like with even after FU Anthem, were you like, okay, "Fuck Up the Friendship" works? You're like, damn, like this is awesome. Is the next one gonna do it, or were you not even thinking that? Where it's just like, I'm just gonna keep moving forward and see what happens.
after Fuck You Anthem, I was like, fuck, I need a song that's like better than this now. I need to
Well,
top
even
it up.
probably after "Fuck Up the Friendship," you were like, you topped it, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
was like the next step was like, okay, is this like a fluke, a one time thing? But then obviously not, and then obviously not again, even further on.
Yeah.
But like having that first moment where you're like, okay, is this next one gonna hit the same way, or were you even thinking that way?
I was for sure. I was like, I needed to hit even bigger than the last one. So, but yeah, I was scared that it wasn't. I was like, oh, am I just gonna be a one-hit wonder? And yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna let that happen. Hell no.
Well, I had a chance to hear a little bit of the record that's coming out in September, and it's awesome.
Thank you.
And you're doing a really cool thing for this tour. You're having people like send you like audition tapes, right?
Yeah.
And that's such a crazy, awesome concept. Like, how did like tell me about that? Because I just think that's so awesome that you're just allowing anyone to be like, instead of being like, okay, we're gonna pick these 3 artists and tour, you're just like, I want to, I want the next, young artists to come through and open up for me.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, I don't know who I want to bring. And I was like, I'll just make a reel and see if anyone's down. And it blew up. And I'm getting so many audition videos, discovering such cool new artists and music. And like, it's been crazy. I mean, I'm constantly getting tagged in these videos being like, I am auditioning for Leah Kate's tour. And it's so cool. And I'm just like loving connecting with everyone and learning about, you know, all this new music I've never heard of. And yeah, I think it's like just a fun way to find an opener, you know? So, and it really like kind of went viral and yeah, it was super cool and I'm still looking. So yeah.
Yeah. So are you picking people per show? Like, how is that? How are you doing
Yeah.
it?
Like I have a couple for like the whole tour and then I'm adding on certain people for like a few shows in different regions.
That's so rad. And then and they're doing their songs or your songs or however they want to do it. It's
Yeah,
just an
however they want
audition,
it.
open audition. Like, here you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
I'm sure, yeah, you get to, it must be difficult to sift through all those
Yeah.
posts.
There's a lot. I'm looking at all of them. I love just even like finding new music and yeah. So checking everyone out.
Love it. And your album, the Super Over tour is the tour, but you just released Super Over, the song, and you have another one coming out on Friday, I believe, or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Friday. Okay. Well, tell me about the new one, Super Over, and then I want to talk to you about the one that's coming out and the
Yeah.
album if you're down.
Yeah. Super Over is like one of my favorite songs. I wrote it because I was not over someone, but I was like, I know I need to be super over them. And I just like knew someone was not good for me and I needed an anthem to myself. That was my like, I'm cutting you off forever anthem. Like we're not just done, we're super over. But it wasn't because like I didn't want us to be over, but we just kind of had to be because he was not good. And so that's kind of where Super Over came from. And Space is the one coming out Friday, which is like kind of a revenge anthem. Like I feel like, you know, everyone always is like, we're done, and then they always come running back, and then it's always too late. And the song is literally, it's like, guess you should have thought of that before you left and asked for space. And it's just a super fun, like, be careful what you wish for song because you're gonna regret it. And they're all true stories, and yeah, so I'm really excited about them and like all the new music. I've been working so hard on it for the last year, and I'm so excited for all the songs to finally come out. So yeah.
How like when did you start writing this record? Within this last year? Because you put out so much music in 2.5 years.
I know, right?
Like
It's
two
crazy.
EPs, this album, and then like even before that, you had an EP of songs.
Yeah, I started writing this like, oh my God, probably a year ago. When I put out the last EP, I started working on this one. So actually, yeah, I put the last one out in November actually, but I started working on this one probably in like August. And now it's been like a year. So yeah.
So you're just constantly writing. I mean, when you're not on tour, are you just in the studio all the time working?
Yeah, all the time. I love writing, and it's like one of my favorite things to do. So I always love writing. So I have a lot of songs, and yeah, I mean, I love writing and I love touring. They're both so much fun for me. I probably don't have like a favorite, but like they're both, yeah. Love the writing part though. One of my favorite
Sure.
parts. Yeah.
With do you have to like then cut the songs down to be like, okay, these ones will be on the record? Is that like a difficult process at all?
Oh God, yeah. I literally like just solidified the track list like very recently. I kept re-track listing like every day, and I was like, all right, guys, like this song's getting re-added again. I added in one song the other day that like was completely cut, and then I was like, wait, this is like the best song ever. We're bringing it back, but now because of vinyl, I can't change it anymore. Thank God. So we're finally done and solidified, but it was very hard picking. Honestly, one of the hardest things ever.
And I bet the track listing too is always, I find so interesting because I came from radio and just programming like this the playlist for the radio stations. It's like this song comes in and then this one, like just putting all in order. Did that take you some time? Was that something that you enjoyed doing or no?
It took a lot of time. And then I was like, okay, should it be like the story or in chronological order or like what? But what it came down to is like how I want the fans to listen to it and in what order, and like what order I like to listen to them all in. Like when I sit down and play it for like the head of my management company or someone, like what order do I play it for him in? And like that's what I want, my fans to hear. So yeah, it has a little to do with like, the story and like what I'm trying to tell, and then also just like how it feels best when you listen to it. So but yeah, very very hard to do the track list. I struggled.
Is there like a concept or is it just kind of a through line throughout the whole album?
Yeah, I mean the concept was like trying to move on from someone and kind of like an empowering message and anthems to myself to help get me there. And there are stories that like you'll hear like throughout the songs, and kind of like takes you through that journey. And so yes, there is like the storyline, and that's kind of like how I needed to help, like, or that's how I decided also like the track list, it needed to go in a certain way. But yeah, it was tricky.
Okay. I love how like vulnerable you are in your lyrics too. Like you just say it, like you don't give a fuck, which is very
Yeah.
rare.
Yeah, I think like my whole life I was so scared to say things, and I was so shy. It was crazy. I was known as the girl in school who didn't speak, and like I had like a shadow with me in school because I was too shy to raise my hand in class. Like I was literally a mute. I couldn't talk. I couldn't speak. I was just like so shy. It was like a problem. So I couldn't say anything that was ever on my mind because I was too scared. So I think, growing up, now I'm like, I'm gonna say whatever I want. And now
Yeah.
that's kind of why I'm like very just, yeah, I say whatever because I didn't say things for so many years that now I'm like, nope, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, you're very direct. And
Yeah.
but the way you say it is very clever too. So it's not just like spouting, it's like that you write the lyrics in a way where it's clever, it all makes sense, but it's very like to the point. And I
Yeah.
find that like so yeah, it's really, really amazing the way you write. And not a lot of
Oh,
instead of like all the kind of dancing around things that people will do, it's just you're just like straight to the point. It's like, damn, like that that was really good.
thank you. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, I was just so you have the big tour coming up and you're announcing. How are you like how often are you announcing these people? Like, is it weekly, monthly, or like when you're deciding
I'm
who's gonna actually do it, or is there no real rhyme or reason to it? It's just I'm found somebody rad, I'm gonna put them on.
No, like I've definitely just like I'm in the middle of locking in like five really cool people. So just waiting on like which shows and then I'm gonna start rolling out people and announcing people hopefully weekly. So yeah.
Rad.
Hmm.
That's awesome. And you have and you mentioned a vinyl, which I'm really excited about. So you're gonna release this on a vinyl?
Yes, I am.
Okay, because the other ones are just digital. And I go to your shop and I'm like, there's no
Oh my
vinyl
God. No, vinyl is
yet.
amazing. Finally, I've never had vinyl, so I'm very excited to finally have it.
Did you already like figure out is it going to be like a color and are you doing like a very cool layout for it?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be sick.
I'm
Get ready.
excited.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very excited for that. And you're playing Nashville. I moved to Nashville recently. I'm from San Diego.
Oh shit.
And you're doing the Basement East. I'm really
Yes,
excited.
you gotta come.
I will come. That's so
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last time you were here, I think you played like on I don't remember, but you were like doing some like rooftop thing for like a radio station or something.
Oh yeah, I did the show with Avril.
Yeah, that's what I was with Avril.
Yeah, on the pop station there, which was so fun. And I got to meet Avril, which was so cool. Love her. And yeah, that was so fun. And then I opened for Chase Atlantic last summer there too. And it was one of my favorite shows. It was so fun.
Oh, that's cool. And I did read some shit about that tour that you had to deal with, but the way you responded was like genius, I will tell you.
Thank you. Yeah,
And I
that
don't want you to have
was
rehash all that, but the fact that you're just like, you know what, fuck these people, and I'm gonna put it up on the screen and own it. It was like, wow, that was a great way to turn that around.
yeah, it's like, oh, you want to troll me? I'll troll you right back.
Yeah, you're like, I have the platform here to just to make this
Yeah.
amazing.
It honestly was like funny looking back. It was crazy. I was very like numb to it at the time. I don't I just kind of like turned my feelings off and became like kind of a shitty person because I think I was just trying to like not feel anything because obviously what I went through was really hard. Um, yeah, it was definitely a really hard time, but I was definitely super numb to it during because like I how could I not be numb? I had to go on stage and like perform in front of all these people every night. So I think it was just easier to like feel nothing and like troll everyone back. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm okay now. But yeah, it was definitely crazy.
That's good. Yeah, because I was reading about that. I was like, oh my gosh, like that's awful. And and but the way you turned it around, and now it's not like it, stopped you or you're obviously or anything. It's like now you're like, I'm headlining this massive tour. I got an album coming out, like whatever, like just some
Mhm.
trolls in the front row,
Yeah,
like whatever.
exactly. If
So
anything, it motivated me.
yeah. Did you already have the album written by that time, or were you able to
No,
kind of let loose on that? Or
yeah, no, I didn't have any of it really written. I started writing it kind of like at the very end of that tour. So a lot of it was not created yet. Um,
okay.
yeah.
I love it. Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. I'm gonna come see you in Nashville. I don't think you've announced the opener for Nashville
I haven't, but there is
yet.
one coming. So, oh my God, no, I'm so happy you're coming. I'm seriously so excited for Nashville. I loved the Nashville show. Even on the Chase Atlantic tour, I remember being like, this is like, was my favorite show or like one of the like top three.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, I'm so excited. Let's definitely hang when I'm there and I'm happy you're coming.
I
And
would love that. Yeah. And you're playing the Basement East, which is such a rad venue.
it is okay, cool. I've never been,
Yeah,
but
it's
I'm
cool.
excited.
It's very
Can't
cool.
wait.
Well, yes, thank you again so much, Leigh, for doing this. I'm really excited that we had a chance to chat.
You.
Like I said, I've been kind of following your career from a distance since I talked with Sophie Simmons. So
Oh
I'm
my God, I'm
excited
gonna tell
to
her
see you.
we talked today.
Yeah. Have you worked with her again? Like since that
Yeah.
song? Like, or do you
Love
work with
her.
her quite often?
Yeah, and we have something coming up in August. So she's so talented. I love her. She's incredible.
That's awesome. Real quick, I just remember this too. I saw you posted a thing on Instagram with Steve Aoki, like a studio, and it was like Steve Aoki.
I
Are
did.
you working on a record with him?
I am.
Is that for his stuff, or can you not talk about it?
I don't know if I can talk about it, but it's for his project. And we may have a collab coming out. So
That's
stay tuned.
exciting.
Yeah.
Amazing. I have one more question for you, Leah, and then I'll
Yeah.
let you go. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Just like don't give a fuck what anyone thinks and put what you love out and don't take shit from anyone. And just like, yeah, don't take no for an answer. Like bang doors down and message people and like hustle until you get what you want, because no one will probably work as hard as you will. And you just have to just go and not care and do and make what you love, and it'll find the audience. And
I love
that is my advice.